From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
Thank you for joining us at 7. I'm Amanda Starantino.
And I'm Mark Mullins. Today, mothers of murder victims spent the day sending a message to law enforcement. They say they know IMPD has been dealing with an alarming number of homicides, but they want to make sure their loved ones' cases do not go cold. The peaceful protest lasted all day outside the City County building downtown. These parents say they are just wanting answers and to make sure investigators see their children as people rather than numbers.
We're not out here to cause trouble. We want to do what we can to also help them. We're not here to beat up on them. We're here to talk to see what can we do to help them solve our cases, and what else we can do to help. And we just want them to hear us, hear our voices and our struggle of trying to grieve and fight for justice.
There were at least 245 homicides investigated by IMPD in 2020, and many of those remain unsolved. In response to today's demonstration, IMPD says the department has, quote, overcome many challenges this year, most notably the nationwide spike in violence brought to bear our community. Now, despite the increased workload, our detectives remain focused on solving each and every homicide, end quote. Working for you, WRTV's Rafael Sanchez spoke with the chief of IMPD on the first day of the year, looking ahead to 2021 and the other factors that have impacted the city's homicide rate.
We are beginning 2021 the way we ended 2020 with gun violence. Already, Reverend Charles Harrison has tweeted that Indy is a city in crisis. What say you?
Well, I can certainly agree with that sentiment. Numbers have been much higher than we'd hoped. Unfortunately, we already have our first murder of the year. And that's not the way you want to start it. But ultimately, I'm hopeful. We have some plans to try to help out in that area.
Can you give me one or two things you're hoping to do different in 2021 that you did not get a chance to do in 2020?
You review what happened in 20. You take stock of what went well and what could have been done better. I think one of the things we'll be looking at is just, along with the beat policing, freeing up officers to be able to be in the right place at the right time.
The mayor, you have also pinpointed that COVID-19 had a major impact in the way you were able to do your job. But you also have pointed in the past that things like hunger and poverty also impact the homicide rate, which we saw at record numbers in 2020. Chief, is it time for you to recommend to your boss, the mayor, and to Dr. Virginia Kane, who runs the health department, to call for a public health crisis?
I don't know if that's my place to call for it. I obviously trust in the mayor and Dr. Kane's decision making. I'm sure if they feel that's what needs to happen, that's what they'll do. I would certainly support that. I'm also concerned with the things like housing and job securities and food securities and education. All those things are going to ultimately impact the city, which means it's probably going to impact my officers and the type of crimes that they have to respond to and the things they're going to be asked to do. So I can certainly see going that route. It'll be interesting to see what that exactly means as far as the police department is concerned, how we can help out in that issue.
Metro Police Chief Randall Taylor, thank you so much for your time, and Happy New Year to you and all the officers on IMPD.
Thank you too, sir.
And now 4 days into the new year, Indianapolis has seen 3 deadly shootings. Behind each deadly case is a family that has to deal with losing a loved one, plus the financial burden of a funeral and burial. Reverend Charles Harrison with Barnes United Methodist Church and the Indianapolis 10-Point Coalition says homicide victims often are young and don't have life insurance. Their families are left to cover the cost of laying them to rest, and that can end up being thousands of dollars. Harrison says faith leaders in the community often work together to help grieving families.
It's heartbreaking when you get the phone call, when you're talking with the family, and how burdened they are. They're already grieving about the fact they have, lost a son or a daughter or a nephew or a niece, but then now trying to find the resources to bury them. And it's very heavy on these families.
Reverend Harrison and other faith leaders say they hope to eventually start a community fund to help victims' families.
A Sam's Club employee is recovering tonight after a shooting inside the store that investigators believe was an accident. This happened on the Sam's Club on Rockville Road on the west side of Indianapolis. Officers tell us security in the store heard what they believe was a gunshot. Police detained the man with the gun as a person of interest, not as a suspect. Investigators say a woman working inside the store was grazed by a bullet, and emergency crews took her to the hospital. Again, police do believe this was an accident.
Checking in now with Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. Kevin, that sunshine was such a welcome sight on the first Monday of the new year.
And we'll have to let that sunshine in our memory carry us through the next several cloudy days, Amanda. We'll flash back. She mentioned the sunshine. It boosted the temperature. We made it to 44 this afternoon. That felt great because the wind was fairly light as well. 46 in Bloomington. We've shaved about 7 degrees off of those temperatures. It's now 37 in Indianapolis, just above freezing. Lafayette and Peru. Mention the freezing mark. That will be critical as we go overnight into the morning hours tomorrow, because we do expect a light wintry mix to develop across central Indiana now. Clouds are increasing western portions of the state once again, out ahead of the weather system that will bring in the wintry mix. Right now, in the colder air over western Illinois, it's all in the form of very, very light snow. But I do think we'll see a little wintry mix develop in central Indiana, changing to some snow showers before ending mid-morning tomorrow. But over the next several hours, we're dry. Temperatures continue to fall closer to the freezing mark, 33. By 10 o'clock tonight, we'll be back in a bit and look on down the road.
At the beginning of a new month and a new year, the rate of COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths are increasing in Indiana. That's according to the Regent Street Institute, which keeps track of state health department data. Today, the department reported 3,600 new positive cases and 39 additional deaths. The 7-day rate of positivity for people getting tested for the first time is close to 26%. And as of yesterday, more than 2,800 Hoosiers were in the hospital with the virus.
First responders across Indiana can now sign up to get a COVID vaccine, according to the State Department of Health and the Department of Homeland Security. Vaccination appointments are now available to firefighters, law enforcement, emergency medical services, volunteers, and reserve officers. Until now, only frontline healthcare workers and residents of long-term care facilities have been able to get vaccinated in Indiana. We expect to learn more about Indiana's vaccine distribution plan from officials this week.
President Trump and President-elect Biden are making stops in Georgia tonight ahead of tomorrow's runoff election for the state's 2 Senate seats. The outcome will determine which party holds power over the Senate and which changes lawmakers can put into action. Alexa Liaco shows us the incredible efforts being made in Georgia to make sure every vote is counted.
History is yet again knocking on Georgia's door. A birthplace for civil rights and equality is now a final battleground for the nation's Senate.
Everybody has their eyes here on Georgia.
This moment, months in the making for organizer Macy Hall.
We started off with the primaries, traveling all the way from Houston to Atlanta.
Now, she and voting rights advocates from March On are crossing the state of Georgia ahead of the highly contested Senate runoff.
We have so much work to get done, especially here in the state of Georgia.
Their first step, getting voters to the polls Tuesday.
Right now, it's a lot of things that we can't control, but what we can control is our vote and our voice.
And Hall is using her voice to fight for
voter protection, voter education, and really combating voter suppression.
But she's not the only one speaking up.
This election is just as important as the presidential election.
Whether it's in-person events like this, encouraging people to come get their questions answered, or broadcasts on Facebook Live, organizers are out in Georgia like never before to get people to come out and vote. And that's because what happens in this Senate runoff will touch every single American.
Members of the TPS Alliance came from all over the country to ask voters to help start a new era for immigration policies.
I'm just doing this for my community and to stay with my parents and fight for my human rights.
The outcome of this vote could change Rebecca Vasquez's life.
This would mean that I would get to stay here with my family, with my parents. This would mean that I would get to go to college. My mom would get to, I'm only 15, so my mom would get to see me walk across the stage, at my graduation. So it would mean everything to me. It's my future we're talking about here.
Immigration policies, healthcare policies, and environmental laws for the entire nation could all see changes this year, depending on how Georgia votes. Democratic challengers John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock are up against Republican incumbents Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. The actions of organizers are already paying off. The runoff election has already seen record-breaking early voter turnout, especially with minority voters. But all of these activists agree their work is only beginning.
We want to ensure that moving forward, the work that we've done now with this runoff election is going to continue on.
A vote for Georgians with power far beyond state lines. I'm Alexa Liacco reporting.
Now still ahead on the news at 7, if you're checking your bank account or mailbox for your second stimulus check, a reminder about the scams to watch out for.
Many businesses have put the brakes on operations because of the pandemic, but that is not the case for the bicycling industry. Up next, why some businesses are actually gaining momentum.
Load today.
WRTV's We Are Open Indy is our commitment to make sure you know what businesses are available during this pandemic. Many industries are facing losses after a tough year, but bicycle businesses are so busy they're backlogged. WRTV's Megan Shin spoke with a bike store owner who says customers are waiting for up to 1 year for their new rides.
If you step inside the bike line in Broad Ripple, you'll meet business owner Jimmy Rivard and his team. And after 41 years of business, this year was full of firsts.
When the pandemic first presented itself, we were as scared as anybody.
So they prepared for the worst and found the best results.
Craziness. It's been the busiest year we've ever had by far.
So busy, the store sold out of bikes.
It started as COVID came on in the spring.
And people have been buying bikes nonstop ever since.
So they're trying to get outside, get exercise, get out of the house. And cycling is a very safe way to do that.
Now, most of the bikes Rivard and his team have received in the store were sold before they arrived.
We've never had to back order bikes before, and now we have well over 1,000 bikes on back order all the time.
So customers like Sherry Owensby, who ordered 6 bikes back in June, are still waiting for 3 more of those belated Christmas gifts.
I was really shocked. I really thought, maybe we'd be the end of summer, maybe a couple months, but when he said November 1st, I was really shocked. And then when we got to November and we called and they didn't have any of them in, we were like, oh no. Really
hard to tell people that.
Rivard says the delay is because of the pandemic.
It's the parts manufacturers, it's distribution, shipping, many layers.
Now customers like Owensby are working on patience, not pedaling, at least for a little while longer.
They're frustrated too, obviously, wanting to get everything in right away for their clients, but it's been really good. They've worked really well with us, and they're just kind of, like I said, waiting like we are.
Working for you, Megan Shin, WRTV.
36 the average high, and you can see we'll be in the ballpark here for the rest of the work week. I'll take you beyond the 7-day forecast, though, when we come back.
A new round of stimulus checks is hitting bank accounts, and that means a new round of scams trying to take advantage of you. The Better Business Bureau says it is already getting reports of con artists claiming that you need to provide personal information to receive the stimulus funds. Scammers are contacting people through text messages, email, and robocalls. Consumer advocates say you should not reply to any of these messages. There are no processing fees involved with the stimulus payments. Beware of anyone asking for you to pay first. And if you have doubts, find the government agency's contact information on their website and then contact them directly. And a reminder from WRTV Investigates, if you have a loved one in a nursing home or an assisted living facility, make sure they get their stimulus check. The Federal Trade Commission issued a warning today that some nursing homes may try to take the stimulus payments, especially for residents who are on Medicaid. This happened with the first round of stimulus checks earlier this year. The Federal Trade Commission suggests talking with your loved one's nursing home and remind them that the resident should get the money. If you hear otherwise, report it to the Indiana Attorney General and the FTC at reportfraud.ftc.gov.
And Mark, we'll look beyond the 7-day forecast in a second, but let me just say we're on cruise control, at least for the next 7 days as far as temperatures. They're locked in place in the 30s. City lights have taken over on a dry and cool Monday evening, Monday night. These temperatures will drop below the freezing mark, though, by the time we get to the early morning hours. Indy still 37. Kokomo leads the way just below freezing. And Bloomington at 35, where the Hoosiers have a big game tonight. Simon Scott Arena. Carolina against Maryland. Well, your pencil-thin line of some snow and then rain showers from St. Louis south is moving south and east. First, it pushes clouds back into central Indiana. We had the sunshine for a while during the day today. Now the clouds are increasing. Chance for that light wintry mix after midnight through about 9 a.m. in the morning hours tomorrow. And that will be in the eastern portion of the state. Temperatures, they'll hover around the freezing mark first thing in the morning, so watch for potentially some scattered slick spots. Not expecting much in the way of accumulating snow, 1/10 of an inch to maybe 1/2 an inch. And if we see the 1/2 inch, I think it's more likely to be in a burst east of Indy, say from Muncie to Greensburg over toward Richmond, mid-morning and into late morning. That will be moving off to the east. Temperatures Tuesday, quite a bit cooler than today. We hit 44. We'll struggle into the upper 30s with all that cloud cover hanging in there. And then this, a northwest wind, 10 to 15 miles per hour. That will keep our temperature from warming up too much over the next several days. Wednesday and Thursday, still in the upper 30s, holding on to mostly cloudy skies. That's about 2 degrees above average for this time of the year. There's your mostly cloudy sky with a northwest wind during the day tomorrow. Want to show you, as we put this in motion from tomorrow morning through Thursday, the next weather system after tonight develops to the west and then takes a more southerly track, and the storm track seems to stay down to the south, closer to the Gulf Coast states than the Midwest. Wednesday temperatures, as you can see, not much different than what we expect during the day tomorrow. Let's look at the 7-day forecast. No Arctic intrusions here. Temperatures in the 30s. One of the coolest high temperatures on Friday at 35. Lows in the 20s. Right now it is a dry 7-day forecast except for the morning hours tomorrow. This takes us into the 18th, so right into the middle of the month. Near average temperatures are expected. There's your average high for this time of the year, and below average precipitation. So again, on average, looking like it stays relatively quiet here for the next week or so.
The CDC has recommended that essential workers should be among the first groups to get vaccinated for COVID-19 after healthcare workers and vulnerable populations. A new study shows how risky some essential jobs are. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze explains in today's Health Minute.
This pandemic has been hard on everyone, but especially healthcare workers, those who work in grocery stores and drugstores, bus drivers, and other essential workers who are on the front lines every day. A new study from the United Kingdom looked at over 120,000 cases of workers with severe COVID-19, meaning someone was hospitalized or had died due to COVID. And as if there were any doubt, healthcare workers there weren't just a little more in danger, they were actually 7 times more likely to have severe COVID-19 compared to non-essential workers. Transportation and social care workers were twice as likely, and non-white essential workers had the highest rates. Now more than ever, with COVID cases surging around the world, it's important to protect essential workers with policies that keep employees safe. We can help them and ourselves this winter by limiting the spread, wearing masks, washing our hands, and social distancing. With this Medical Minute, I'm Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News.
And no payments, no interest for 12 months.
If you feel lucky this week, you might want to buy a Powerball or Mega Millions ticket or both. Both jackpots have passed the $400 million mark with no winners over the weekend. Experts say anyone who wins should be careful who they tell to avoid scam artists. They also recommend hiring a team of professionals such as a lawyer, an accountant, and a financial planner to help deal with your new wealth. The odds of winning Mega Millions is 1 in 302 million. Powerball is 1 in 292 million.
I'd say, Mark, the odds of dreaming about it are 100%.
I do every night. Dream about it every night.
Sure. 2.7, here's some other numbers for you. Under 3 inches of snow so far this season. Typically, we would be at 9 inches by this point. Again, a dusting or light wintry mix overnight. Temperatures in the lower 30s tomorrow morning. Amanda.
Thanks for making WRTV your choice for news. We'll see you right here tonight at 11.